Ah, the No Quan Desert. A quiet, sandy place bustling with vibrant life. Some say it's the birthplace of civilization on Dehgom. And though that theory is wildly debated by historians, we can all agree on one thing. There are definitely people living here now. Well, would you look at that? It would appear that we've spotted some people now. The horrific weather conditions in the No Quan Desert make it almost impossible for people to thrive out here, yet people like these young scavengers here somehow manage to do it. Albeit because they rob and murder everyone that they get the chance to. Now, of course, not all of their victims are a bunch of goody two-shoes, just like not all scavengers are horrible murderers, but these scavengers definitely are. Speaking of which, it would appear that they're mounting their dromedaries, riding into the desert no doubt to see if they can find their next big score. Venturing out into the No Quan Desert, even with comrades, while mounted on dromedaries is a dangerous affair. Of course, this is nothing new to the scavengers though. Besides, how else were they going to make better lives for themselves? As they continued their journey, they could see a small camp in the distance. However, as they approached, the smell of putrid meat filled their lungs. Upon further inspection, it appeared that these martial soldiers were camping out here. There were 4 sleeping bags with only 3 bodies that had several stab wounds. It was very odd. The scavengers decided to head out before lung rot sets in. Even some slightly damaged martial service armor isn't worth losing their lives, so they would need to continue looking elsewhere. Ah yes, a small martial caravan. This could be very promising. There's no doubt several soldiers though who are well trained and well armed. Our scavengers would need to wait until nightfall. The scavengers are unsure on how to approach the camp. Their best bet's going to be to sneak around the side where the large truck is. The only issue with that is the guards in the front are most likely going to see them by the time they get there. Lucky for them though, sometimes the desert provides. Yes, thanks to the hostility between the Thromboian tribes of the No Quan Desert as well as the Marshal Service, it would appear that this Marshal Service camp is easy pickings. Now I know what you're thinking, what are these scavengers going to do with all this gear? This wonderful Marshal Service gear that, even though covered in blood, is still pretty darn good in quality. Now most scavengers would probably keep this gear, but at some point they would run out of ammunition and have to somehow get more of it from the Marshal Service. But regardless, these scavengers are not like other scavengers. For you see, these scavengers have ambitions. Not all scavengers want to continue scavenging in the No Quan Desert. Some of them want to go on and live different lives, do better and bigger things. These scavengers are no different, so they've decided to sell all the gear and vehicles and whatnot to the Oak Foundation. Besides, they don't have a dog in the fight between the rebels and the Marshal Service. They're just looking to make a little bit of money so they can better themselves. And they had just the plan in mind to better their situation, but first they would need to trek throughout the desert. Of course, as we've seen though, the No Quan Desert is a very dangerous place, so they're going to need to find somewhere to settle in for the night. Tucked away in this little canyon seemed nice and comfy, and of course they're going to need to build a nice warm fire as the desert gets very chilly at night. The 3 scavengers sat around the fire at night talking about all the things they were going to buy and how things were definitely going to change with their newfound silver. Shortly after awakening the next day, the 3 of them continued their journey out into the desert, and after a few hours of traveling, they were finally here. The Marshal-controlled slave mining town, known ironically as Impid's Rest. They explained to the local police they were there to make a purchase. The officer gave them directions to the constable's office in the center of town. On their walk to the constable's office, the scavengers couldn't help but note how dreadful and disgusting the town was. Horrible working conditions even for slaves. The scavenger leader, Big Daddy, entered the constable's office and then approached his desk. Sitting behind the desk was a handsome, rugged older gentleman with a yellow star pinned to his body armor. Big Daddy wasted no time paying the constable for one of his impid slaves. The constable happily obliged and awarded Big Daddy with the slave known as Hoth. As the two of them began to leave the constable's office and head back outside with the other scavengers, Hoth was wondering and then began to ask, of course, what his new masters had in store for him. They explained that they've been scavengers for too long. They've been poor and downtrodden, beaten down for damn too long, but with Hoth's help, that would no longer be an issue. For you see, Hoth, my purple, overweight impid friend, we are no longer going to be scavengers. No, we are going to be slavers.